Right. Good afternoon, grade 8 learners. We are now going to start with our lesson. Once more, my name is Hendrik Makaneta, and I'm going to teach grade 8 mathematics. Today being the 2nd of July, this is our second lesson. And of course, we carry on with the algebraic expressions, where we will look at various examples. And of course, yesterday I have defined the algebraic expression, and I said that the algebraic expression is simply a sequence of operations that can be described in words. So in some cases, they can also be described with flow diagrams. As you shall see, the example in this case is the flow diagram. I've got two flow diagrams in our midst here. And of course, when you have to define the output as well as the input, you can see that on the left-hand side here, I've got values there. These values are called input values. So you can see that we've got input values there, and then followed by the rule, and then you simply multiply the input by the rule there, and you can see that the first input value there is 2. If you multiply 2 by 2, you get 4. And then 4 plus 8 will give you 12. So this 12 is a product of a process starting with the input value of 2, and then you multiply that value by the 2. You can see we have the rule. So in any flow diagram, you will always have the input values as well as the rule. And if you if you make use of the rule together with the input values, you will definitely get the output values. So definitely, so the first one you can see there, it's given as 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 plus 2 is 12. So this is how we got the 12. So without any waste of time, I'm going to ask you questions now. I'm just going to zoom directly into the participants. I want us to use this flow diagram to find the outputs in this case. The first flow diagram is there. We will come to the second one. Let's start with the first. We have used 2 as an example. 2, if you multiply 2 by 2, you get 4, and 4 plus 8 gives you 12. So the first output value there is 12. So I want us to use the rule just to find the output value there. So let's carry on. If you can, I see that some of you may be are already active in the group chat. Thank you very much, Lesedi. Right, I see the input rule and output. Yes, Tedza says the next one will be 16. How did you find 16, Tedza? I believe you have used now 4. If you multiply 4 by 2, you get 8. And 8 plus 8, sorry, gives you 16. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Tedza. I see you have 16 there. And then Therese as well also found 16. Now I see Boutle hand is up. Maybe Boutle wants to you can just unmute your, let's see, let's hear your view. Let me just allow you to unmute from your side for now. Can you carry on, Boutle? Boutle, your hand was up. Right. In the absence of Boutle, we will just carry on. And of course, I see that some of you have already done a few calculations, Lesedi. You are also correct because 4 multiplied by 2 gives you 8, and 8 plus 8 gives you 16. So that is the correct answer if the input value is 4. Can we now use the input value of 8? Can we proceed now to use 8 to find the output? So the input in this case now, it is 8. Can we use it to find the next term? All right, I see Cesar is ahead of everyone now, followed by Lesedi. You have 24. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 8 is 24. Yes. Or were you first? Sorry, Teresa, I didn't realize. I see you were first. Thank you very much for just making me aware. Yes, I can see you were the first, Therese. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And of course, you also have 22. That is correct. 24 is the correct answer there because 8 times 2 is 16 and 16 plus 8 is 24. Okay, so Tyrese. All right, Tyrese, thank you very much. I hope that this time I'm pronouncing it correctly. Tyrese, wonderful, right. Now we go to the next one. 10 is the input value, Tyrese. As Silly said, this time was the first to do the, followed by Lisanne. And of course, you have 28. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 plus 8 is 28. Correct. Followed by Tyrese. Tyrese also has 28. Thank you very much indeed. We are now proceeding to 12, which is the last one in the flow diagram, the very first. I see Boucher was Tyrese. Okay, Natalie and Boucher, yes. Natalie has got 32 and followed by Boucher 32. Cesar also found 32. I see Asanda, you have worked the first part. 12 times 2 is 24 and plus 8 is 32. Yes, great. Therese as well just came in with 32. I'm glad Lisedi as well found it correct. Lisanne as well found the correct answer there. Yes. Thank you very much indeed. So this is how you find the output values in the first instance. Can we proceed to the next flow diagram? You can see there are 2 of those. Can we go to the next one there? Let's go to the, yes, the next one, we are starting with 2. 2 is the input value, and we have the rule times 8 and then plus 2. Can we use that as well to find the output? Let's go now. I see most of you are active in the chat or in the group chat. Great. I see Therese again has managed to multiply 2 by 8 to get 16 plus 2 is 18. Yes, 18 is the correct answer. Boucher as well. Right. I see Lesedi as well. Yes, that's great. 18 is the correct answer. Lynn, I see you are already doing the fourth one now. 10 times 8, which is 80 plus 2 is 82. Right. And then let's zoom into the second one now, where 4 is the input value. 4 times 8, as most of you know, will be 32. So I see that we have probably skipped the other one. 32 plus 2 is 34. I see that most of you are now doing the last one. Lisanne is already in the last one. 12 multiplied by 8 plus 2 gave 12 times 8 is 96, and 96 plus 2 is 98. I agree with you, Lisanne. Let's go to Lesedi as well. Lesedi is doing the second one. 4 times 8 is 32 plus 2 is 34. That is also correct. Can we see, I think Therese was the one who did, was it 10? Lynn was the one who did 10 as well. 10 times 8 is 80, and 80 plus 2 It's 84. So let's say I see you are just doing the third one there. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 2 is 66. That is the correct answer there. So you have the correct answer. And of course, it says as well, I see that you are going to, all right. I see that you have done the correct answer. Natalie, 66. How did you get 66? 8 times 8 is 64, and 64 plus 2 is 66. So I fully agree with your method. That is correct. So I was just introducing these flow diagrams just to demonstrate the relationship between numbers as well as variables. At times you will find variables usually are unknown numbers, like what we have just done now, just to find the output values. Those were not known values. So it means we were solving for, it's the same as, this is the same as solving for X. So if you look at the last part there, this output might be defined as X or Y. And so once you are given other values, then you can be able to find the unknown using the rule. So the rule is more like an equation. So if you have an equation in the form of X and Y, you can only be able to do that. The last one, of course, was 12. I see most of you were not sure. 12 was the last one there. So you can multiply 12 by 8 and then you add 92. So somebody did that. 12 times 8 is 96, plus 2 is 98. All right. Yes, we are beginning with our term 3 work now. And of course, we have to rearrange or in fact expand and rearrange and then combine the like terms. Let's see. Yes. We have to write the shortest possible equation or equivalent expression without the brackets. So in this case, I've given you 5 different expressions, and all that I want you to do this afternoon is just to arrange this in a shortest possible expression. So in other words, you can just simplify this expression. What I want you to do is just to simplify it. Yes, I see Natalie, you are right, we have to simplify. Can we simplify these expressions? Without any doubt, x into x plus 2 into x plus 3. And then, of course, at some point, you will see that we are going to use this a lot. I want us to first simplify these expressions. Let's first simplify, and then we'll come to the real work of substituting. All right, I see Natalie says it is already simplified. I don't agree with you, Natalie. I see you say 1.1 is already simplified. It is not simplified. Remember, when you have a bracket, you need to break that bracket first, and then thereafter collect the like terms. After that process, then you can now simplify your expression. So it is not in simplified version. I know it looks like a simplified expression, but it's not. You can just write the shortest possible equivalent expression. So it needs to be very short. It needs to be short. It needs to be short, meaning that you need to break the bracket in the first one. I see Boutle, you've already done so. X plus 2 plus 3. It's equal to, okay, which one are you doing, Boutle? X plus 2 plus 3 is equal to x plus 5. Oh, is that the first one? Boutle, just be careful when you break your bracket. You need to multiply both sides. Both terms. I mean, there's a binomial, in this case, 2 into x plus 3. So you need to multiply 2 by x and thereafter multiply 2 by 3. And I'm still going to demonstrate this as we proceed, but I just want to test your knowledge in as far as simplifying expressions is concerned. Let's just carry on. Let's carry on to look. I see, Lynn, you say x2 times x3. Okay, x squared times x3. I'm not sure which one are you doing now. Just to demonstrate, let's go quickly to 1.5. I just want to correct something there. If you can just concentrate on 1.5. There's something that I need to show you there. You can see the first bracket, we have -3 into x squared plus 2x minus 3. And then you close the bracket, plus 3, open bracket. That x2 there, remember I said it yesterday that we don't have anything called x2. All right, so that is x squared. That should be x squared. That's an exponent. Pardon the type in there, and then plus 4x. So you can have x2. In fact, you have x squared, or you can have 2x. But in this case, that is x squared. So I'm just going to see, I see that some of you have solved for x littler projects. You say that x is equal to 5. In this case, we are not solving for x. We are just simplifying the equations. Yes, Lisedi, I see you say x plus 6x. I'm not so sure which one are you referring to. If it's the first one, x, not 6x. But I will demonstrate it just now to everyone. Let's just carry on. Let's carry on now. I'm just going to demonstrate the first one there, that once you have an expression of this nature, first things first, remember the rule of BODMAS. Excuse me. The BODMAS rule is very clear. You need to first break the bracket. So that is the first thing that you need to do. So in 1.1, the first step is to break the bracket. So how do you break this bracket? It means you will multiply everything that is inside the bracket by 2. So in other words, you will multiply x by 2 and thereafter multiply 3 also by 2. So if you multiply 2 by x, you get 2x, as you can see here. So the first one in 1.1, you had the x plus. So this is the x plus, and then 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 3 is 6. And thereafter, you collect the like terms. And the like terms in this case are x and 2x. So x plus 2x gives you 3x. And then, of course, 3x plus 6. I see, Therese, you say you got the first one right. I probably missed that in the group chat. I see there's an active communication in the group chat, which I encourage. I probably missed your correct answer there. But of course, the correct answer is 3x plus 6. So the first one, that's how you simplify it. This is how you simplify. Buhle, let me repeat it. I see that you need some more explanation. What I'm saying here is this is the expression. Remember, we said that you need to write the shortest possible equivalent expression without brackets. So meaning that you need to break the bracket. So Once you remove the brackets, there's no other way of removing the brackets without using multiplication. In other words, you need to multiply 2 by all the terms inside the bracket. So as you can see, listen here, we have said that x plus 2 open bracket x plus 3, and this is equal to, this first x here is the one we had in the beginning. And then you multiply 2 by x, and then 2 times x is 2x, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So you multiply the bracket by the 2 there. All right. I hope that Lesedi can probably get it now. Natalie, I can see you are following. So that's how you break the bracket. And of course, x plus 2x is 3x, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So the simplified version will be 3x plus 6. I don't know if there's any question. Please feel free to raise a hand at any time, or just, I'll unmute you just now so that you can ask if there's any question regarding this. Otherwise, we can carry on with the next activity, and hopefully you will be able to get it as we proceed. But if you don't get it now, please feel free to speak now. Right. We are going to proceed in the absence of questions to also do the next one. Remember, these are about 5 different questions or activities rather. And of course, all that we need to do is simply to write them in the shortest possible equivalent expression. So this simply means you need to simplify your expression. So we have already simplified the second one. We are now proceeding to the third one. Right? Let's simplify 1.2. I see Lesedi. Okay, fine. I hope that your question has been answered now. Let's simplify the second one. The first step, you need to break the bracket. And how do you break the bracket? You multiply this 5. Can you see the 5 on the left-hand side? You need to multiply it by 4x, and then bring the addition sign, and thereafter multiply 5 by 3. So this 5, which is outside of the bracket, has to be multiplied with everything that is inside. I see, Natalie, you are correct that the 2 outside is multiplying all the stuff inside. Yes, I agree with you. That's correct. So 5 times 4x, and then 5 times 3. And thereafter, you have 5x. Can we show you how have we done this? Now, this is the equation, or in fact, the expression in the beginning. You have 5 open bracket, 4x plus 3. And of course, you close the bracket there. And as Natalie said, 5 times 4 is 20. So you'll have 20x, and 5 times 3 is 15. So you'll have 20x plus 15, and then the other 5x remains as it is. You have it already. And thereafter, you can just group the like terms. Remember to always group the like terms. And the like terms in this case are 20x and 5x. And that's how you group them. If you add 20 and 5, you get 25. So therefore, the answer will be 25x plus 15. So you'll have a constant there as well as a variable. The variable meaning 25x. So the final answer there will be 25x plus 15. So this is what we mean when we talk about the simplifying the expression. So we are now going to simplify the next one. Remember that the next one was 5 open bracket x plus 5. I hope that I'm not fast and that everyone can follow. So 5 into x plus 5 plus 3 into 2x plus 1. We just need to use BODMAS once again just to break the brackets first. And once you get rid of the brackets, you can be able to collect the like terms. So let's proceed now to break the brackets. So remember this, we've done 1.1 and 1.2. So in 1.3, so in 1.3, thank you very much indeed, Tyrese. I'm noting your comment on the group chat. Right. 5 open bracket x plus 5 plus 3 open bracket 2x plus 1. Again, what you need there is just to break the bracket. And the only way of breaking the bracket is by multiplying in this case. So 5 times x, you can see the first step there, you have 5x. Thank you, Lesedi. I'm glad that you are following now. 5 times x is 5x, and then 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 3 times 2x, 3 times 2 is 6, then you'll have 6x there. And then 3 times 1 is 3. So you can see the first step, you now have 5x plus 25 plus 6x plus 3. And thereafter, what you do is just to group the like terms together. 5x and 6x are like terms. Why do we call them like terms? Maybe someone can tell me, why do we say 5x and 6x are the like terms? And then we also group 25 and 3. Why do we call those the like terms? 25 and 3 are like terms because, yes, some Cesar says they are the same variable. Yes, you're right. 5x and 6x, they have the same symbol, which is x. Natalie says because they are similar. Great. Yes, they are similar. They have the same symbols. So 5x and 6x can be grouped together. 25 and 3 also can be grouped together because they are constants. So you can add them together. Now 5x plus 6x will be 11x, and then 25 plus 3 is 28. So meaning that your answer will be 11x plus 28. That is the simplified version of our expression. So you can see that now it is simple because this expression now has got only 2 terms, which is 11x plus 28. So there are only 2 terms. The first term is 11x, and the second term is 28. Although it can be argued that even the first term there, or the original expression, it can be argued that the original expression also has 2 terms because of those brackets. But you can see that it looks more complicated than the last expression there, in a sense that you've got 5 open bracket x plus 5 close bracket plus 3 open bracket 2x plus 1 and close bracket. That expression, or the original expression rather, is more complicated than the last one. So the last one is very simple in a sense that you only have 11x and 28. It should be clear at this point that we have now simplified our expression. Now, Littler projects is asking the question that they have the same value. Yes, basically, they've got the same value. If you are talking about the last expression and the original one, they have the same value. They are the same. If you are talking about the expressions, I hope you are talking about the expressions that 11x plus 28 is equal to 5 open bracket x plus 5 plus 3 open bracket 2x plus 1. All right. But if you are talking about the like terms are not, they don't have the same value, like 5x and 6x. I see Natalie has responded there in the group chat. If you are talking about 5x and 6x, they do not have the same value. The only things that have the same value here is the simplified version of ours 28. It has the same value with the original expression, which is 5 open bracket, x plus 5 close the bracket, plus 3 open bracket, 2x plus 1. And then you close your bracket. So those two have the same value. Now we are proceeding now to, okay, I see Natalie was referring to the variable. Yes, thank you, Natalie, for taking the time and the trouble to answer the question. Now we have 1.4. 1.4, 5 plus x all squared. All that you need to do there is just to simplify our expression, and the way in which you can simplify this is just to remember that when you have 5 plus x all squared, it means you are multiplying 5 plus x by itself. Remember, even when you have x squared, or if you have, let's say, 3 squared, 3 squared is the same as 3 times 3. So it means you multiply 3 by itself, by 3, and then you get 9. In this case, you do the same. 5 plus x all squared means that you multiply 5 plus x by itself. And then we'll continue to show you this is how we multiply it. And by the way, we've done 1.2, 1.3. So in 1.4, you can see that 5 plus x can be multiplied by itself. So 5 plus x all squared, that's the same as 5 plus x into 5 plus x. Now, you multiplying 5 plus x by itself, and then of course, 5 times 5 is 25. So that's the first bracket. So remember, most importantly, when you multiply a binomial by a binomial, firstly, you have to multiply the whole bracket, this second bracket, by x. So that is why when you multiply 5 times 5 is 25x. So the first number there, or the first term of our expression yields 25 plus 5x. And then the second one, of course, you will multiply x by 5 to get 5x, then x times x to get x squared. Now that you have multiplied the two brackets, all that you need to do now is to find the common factor, or just to, to group the like terms, exactly. Just to group the like terms, and we only have two of those. We have 5x plus 5x. So if you group them together, they will give you 10x. So your expression will be 25 plus 10x plus x squared. So this will be our expression. 25 plus 10x plus x squared. So this will be the final expression of 5 plus x all squared. So these two have got the same value. 25 plus 10x plus x squared is the same as 5 plus x squared. Remember 5 plus x inside bracket and then all squared. So now you have simplified it. The last one, of course, will be, before we do the substitutions, the last one was a -3 open bracket x squared plus 2x minus 3, and then you close the bracket, plus 3 open bracket x squared. Remember I said the last one is x squared plus 4x. All right. Natalie, I see you say you don't understand 1.4. I'm just going to go back just to 1.4. Right, Natalie, I know that 5 plus x all squared looks more simplified than the final answer that we have now. Right, I'm just going to explain it again so that this time you can be able to understand. We have 5 plus x. This simply means if you have square simply means you multiplying this expression by itself, because if it's the same as having, let's say, 2 squared. 2 squared is the same as 2 times 2. I hope that it makes sense. Right. So I'm just explaining. I see littler projects as well as you are lost in 1.4. Hence, I'm back and then I'm explaining it. Thank you, Natalie. How do you get 25? That's the question from Lisedi. How do you get 25? So that's a good question. So the first term there, 25, comes from 5 times 5. So if you multiply 5 by 5, you get 25. I hope that you can see where does the 25 come from. All right. Now that is the first term. So you take 5 of the first bracket, you multiply it by 5 in the second bracket. And thereafter, you take the same 5 again in the first bracket, you multiply it by x in the second bracket. And this will give you 5x. And thereafter you are done with your 5, you go to x in the first bracket. You take this x and then you multiply it by 5. X times 5 will give you 5x. In the same note, you take the x and you multiply it by the x, which will give you x squared. At this point, it should be clear that there are like terms. And now you can group them together, as Natalie once said, that the like terms in this case will be 5x and 5x. And then if you group them together, in fact, they are already grouped. You know, they are already grouped together. All that you need to do is just to add. It's just to add, and then you are going to add 5x and 5x, which will give you 10x. And of course, the final answer there will be 25 plus 10x plus x squared. So the final product there means you have now combined the like terms, which is 5x and 5x. Natalie is asking, where did you get the X? I'm still lost there. All right. Where did we get the X? This is the X. It originated from the first bracket, which is 5 plus X. So remember, this is what is given in the expression. So you have 5 plus X squared. Everything is squared. So you've got 5 plus X inside the bracket, all squared. So this is the X. It emanated from the beginning there. And then remember, just like I said, if you have, let's say you have got 9 squared. What does 9 squared mean for you? It means you're multiplying 9 by 9. Now, even in the same case here, 5 plus X all squared means you're multiplying 5 plus X by 5 plus X. So this is how we have multiplied them together. So the bracket simply means you are also multiplying. There's a multiplication sign between the first bracket and the second bracket there. So the X, keep track of the X. Where does it come from? So 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times X, if you multiply 5 by X, you get 5X. And then you have used your first term there in the first bracket, then you come to X. X times 5 is 5X, and X times X is X squared. I hope that it makes sense. And of course, once you have done this, you can be able to now add the like terms, which is 5X and 5X. And of course, that is 10X. I hope that, Natalia, I see your response. You are now happy. Right. We are now proceeding. Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Natalia. We are now proceeding to the next, or the last one rather. And I see that we took some time now. We may not find the time to substitute the values. Let's proceed to the last one, which is 1.5. So you can see that in 1.5 as well, it looks a bit tricky, but please don't be confused. I'm just going to explain it. So we may not have time to substitute the values, but that can be done as homework. So in this case, just before we wrap up the lesson, you can see that this is the bracket. And of course, -3 is outside of the bracket. So it's -3, open bracket, x squared plus 2x minus 3. Then you close your bracket, plus 3, open bracket, x squared plus 4x. And then you close the bracket. So all that you need to do in this case is just to break the bracket. Remember, our goal, the main aim here is to simplify the expression. We must write it in the simplest form. It must not look complicated at the end of our work. It should be neat and simplified. It should be simple. Right now it looks very complicated because you have x squared here, you have 2x, you have -3, you also have x squared, you have 4x. So there are just too many terms there. So we want you to simplify it in such a way that you'll be left with a few terms, if possible, 2 terms. Right. We may not be able to do justice to this activity given the time that we have, because we're left with only a minute. I'm looking at the time. But let me conclude by saying all that you are going to do here, you will multiply everything. As Natalie said earlier, you will multiply everything inside the bracket by -3. So for instance, -3 times x will give you -3x squared. And then -3 times 2x will give you -6x. -3 times -3 will give you +9. Remember that negative times negative gives you positive. And then you do the same with the second bracket. You multiply everything inside by 3. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. And then 3 times 4x, then that's 12x. And from this point now, you can collect or you can group the like terms. You can see I've grouped negative 3x squared and 3x squared. I've also grouped negative 6x and 12x. And the last one is 9. There is no number that you can group with 9. 9 is the only constant. Now, at this point, you can see negative 3x squared plus 3x squared will give you 0. A negative number, if you add negative and positive, you get 0 because the expression is equivalent. These are equivalent expressions. And then negative 6x plus 12x will give you 6x, and then you have 9. So the final answer will be 6x plus 9. If you did not understand this, we still have tomorrow. We can look at some of these challenges, and then we can be able to sort them out. But for your homework, I just want you to use, as you can see, this is the same, all of these are the same expressions that we have just done. But right now, I want you to use, to simplify them using x as negative 5. The value of x is negative 5. All that you need to do is to substitute negative 5 for every x value there and find the numerical value of each expression. I hope that it makes sense. Just to repeat it, use x as a negative 5 and then put it in the different expressions and find the numerical value of the expression. So meaning that maybe the expression 1 will be 5 or 10 or 9, any value, but you must use the correct substitution there to calculate the numerical value of the expression. By so saying, this actually brings us to the end of our lesson, and I'm not going to zoom into solutions for now. The homework, can look at that tomorrow as well. If you have any questions, please feel free at any time to email us at stemdigitalschool@africateamgeeks.co.za. This lesson was brought to you by the STEM Digital School in partnership with Sasol Foundation. Until we meet again tomorrow, thank you very much indeed. Yes, the homework is there. You can take this homework as well, and then you can add it to this is the homework. You can add it to the one that we couldn't finish, the last part that we could not finish, where you substitute x for the value of negative 5. X is negative 5. But in this case, I want you to simplify just as we did. This is the homework. I'll just leave it there for you, just to screenshot. Thank you once again.